Welcome to another edition of the OUinsider.com podcast. I'm RJ Young. It's Brandon Drumm on the line. Brandon, it's good to hear your voice, man.
Yeah, after about 20 minutes of technical difficulties, we're gonna wing this thing.
I've
So,
done it before. It's fine, dude. Uh, you went on a trip to LA where, among other things, you got to see some recruits. Do you want to run those down real quick?
yeah, we can. I got to see Damani Jackson, a 2021 four-star DB, long, lanky guy. Just, I mean, super athletic. I'll tell you what, at the Under Armour camp, they gave him more attention than anybody else, and that was because several of the guys that Oklahoma is definitely in on. Uh, they weren't really, you know, working out because it was a cold, rainy day. Uh, it wasn't the best, I guess, weather. So there was a lot of issues out there as far as that. Several of the guys decided they didn't want to go, which is fine. I got to talk to him more or less because of that. So there was several guys like Jalen Davies that he's a cornerback out of Modern Day that is really close with Jeremiah Cradell. OU nickelback, safety, cornerback, whatever you want to call him. He's moved multiple positions while he's at Oklahoma. He talked about how Jeremiah Cradell loves it out here in Oklahoma. Out there. So I would expect Oklahoma to be in it with Jalen Davies. He's a 6'1", about 175 pound cornerback, four-star cornerback out of Modern Day, high school in California. Good kid, really liked it. He talked about when Lincoln Riley came in, which I thought was a cool story to Modern Day, and he said, hey, Lincoln Riley came in and he wanted to make sure that we saw him. And he was talking about him and a couple other kids. And I said, well, what is that like out there when Lincoln Riley walks in? And he said, Lincoln Riley, Nick Saban, Dabo Sweeney. Those are the three dudes when they walk in that you just kind of everybody starts buzzing. So that kind of shows you where Oklahoma stands with West Coast kids as far as the head coach goes and just kind of the stature that Lincoln Riley already has in 3 years as a head coach, which is pretty impressive if you actually look at it. And I heard that from multiple people, and I guess the other thing I heard about was Jamar Cain. I mean, that guy is beloved on the West Coast, and we're talking about the new outside linebackers coach that Lincoln Riley hired out of Arizona State. He was the defensive line coach at Arizona State, landed 3 of the top 30 players in California. You don't do that at Arizona State if you're not a good recruiter or have really good connections on the West Coast. So I thought that was a pretty cool deal. And then, ironically, on the way home, we had a connection flight. My wife and I had a connecting flight in Phoenix. Jamar Cain sat a seat away from me, so I thought my wife sat to my right and Jamar Cain sat to the right of her. So I thought that was pretty funny. And we had no idea until after the plane when he was standing next to Clark Stroud at the baggage claim, because I recognized his face, but I couldn't recognize. I couldn't put who it was until I saw him talking to Clark Stroud, the Sooners. What is he? He's a football operations, right?
That's right.
Director of football
Director of Football
operations.
Operations.
They were talking at the baggage claim because Clark Stroud had flown in from Denver, apparently from snowboarding and skiing. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Nah, it's good stuff. How was the news of DeMarco Murray received there?
DeMarco is considered a very likable guy. I bumped into some Bishop Gorman people, and in speaking to them, they were very uh, complimentary of him in saying that he was a coming guy. They said that he struggled, I guess, to start learning what you could and it was one of those deals where DeMarco, one of those deals one of those deals where DeMarco he had to learn on the fly. So it was really, really hard for him. I mean, and they said he finally picked up on it, but he's going to make a big bang in Las Vegas. They talked about several guys, and they said if DeMarco Murray comes in and offers, they said instantly. There was a couple of running backs offered in the 2021 class, and one of them was there. Being that, and I have to go back and look at my notes at the name actually, and I'm doing that right now. But they were. It was. He's considered an up and coming guy, a guy that everybody kind of liked. Um, but other than that, and I don't have it in my notes obviously, but uh, they think the world of him out there. Actually, they really do, and they think he's going to be a NFL. One guy from Gorman told me they think he's going to be an NFL offensive coordinator within the next 5 years, and I thought that was pretty high praise.
No, it's a nice trajectory. And I think that's on par with what Kevin Sumlin was saying about DeMarco Murray and one of the reasons that he hired him without any coaching experience at all. You put together some pretty good team notes over the last few days, man. Hats off. You want to go through some of those going back to Thursday and into Monday?
Yeah, you tell me what ones you want to talk about, and we can dive into those.
Okay. Let's start
Because
with the players that are on campus. There was a nice note about Marvin Mims, early enrollee,
oh
and
yeah,
how
yeah,
he's
yeah.
been able to flash.
Okay, so Marvin Mims, and this I've actually spoken to probably 4 or 5 people about him. This guy ran a 4.3. It was hand timed, but it was a 4.3. Doesn't matter. That means he's probably in the 4.4 range, which means he's going to be blowing by people. I mean, that's it's not so much Hollywood Brown speed, but it's fast enough that he can stretch the field, and he's fast enough and so fast that they've moved him to the outside with Rambo. So now he's outside with Rambo, and they moved Jaden Hazelwood inside of the slot, I'm told. So I thought that was an interesting move. So now you have Bridges, Jaden Hazelwood. I'm trying to think of guys off the top of my head that are other slot guys, but it's a good mixture of guys in the slot. Then obviously Austin Stogner on the other side with Jalen Conyers when he comes in, and then you could obviously move several other guys in Stogner's position, the bigger guys. How do you pronounce the new transfer's name? You'll have to say it because I don't want to mispronounce it.
Obialo. Obialo.
Obialo. Obi Obialo will be another guy on that side as one of those bigger Lee Morris type guys that'll play with the tight ends over there in their inside wide receiver position. But Mims is a guy that flashes. They say once in 707, if he gets behind you, you're done. And Oklahoma has speed on the back end, and we can talk about that here in just a bit. But they have speed on the back end, and they say that he kind of struggles a little bit with being pressed on, but that they say that comes. I mean, that's part of being a new guy, and playing against dudes they're grown men compared to 17, 18-year-olds. You're dealing with 21, 22-year-old kids. So I mean, it's a completely different realm as far as strength goes. So Marvin Mims is showing out, doing really well. Ran a 4.3. He's flashed. He's turned heads, and everybody kind of says that he's going to be a big deal eventually while he's at Oklahoma.
You also had a really great note about Tre Brown and the defensive backs.
Yeah, he's taking on a leadership role. Tre Brown obviously he's always going to run the 4.3, 4.4s. Maybe closer to the low 4.3s most of the time. I didn't get an exact time. The person just said he ran the usual 4.3, 4.4s. It wasn't. It's just one of. It's now it's ho hum with him when he runs really fast, and that's where we're at with Tre because he's got elite speed. We've seen it. We saw it against Baylor when he chased a dude down from 60 yards. So that's nothing new. But Bryson Washington at the nickel position ran a 4.51 and a 4.48. He's got a lot of speed. He's really fast. He's long, lanky at 6'2", 200 pounds. I was told they would like him to be 205, between 205, 207 come August. and hopefully still have that 4.51, 4.48 speed at the nickel spot, because that's going to give them a lot of flexibility with him, with his height, with his length, being able to cover space, being able to come down and fill the lanes on running. And then obviously you're going to have Justin Harrington coming in. I'm told from several people that everybody expects when he gets in there in June to really light it up, because he's been through the college stuff before. It's different at Division I, but they think that he's going to be able to adjust, and that he just has a different mindset. He's a different type of person, and it's really hard to turn away 6'3", 215-pound, safety that can run the way he can. I mean, he can flat scoot. So there's high expectations for this defensive backfield. Trey Norwood's working at the nickel spot, corner spot, which I think is very, very. It's a good spot for him. He was a decent cornerback when he was younger. I think another year. I think the aggressiveness in Grinch's allowing him to use his 4.4, 4.3 speed that Trey Norwood has always encompassed is going to be good. He's always had long arms. He wasn't so much tall, but he had length. He was going to be able to press you, and I don't think in Mike Stoops' system playing him back, and I'm sure you agree with this, it didn't fit him at all. But when he was allowed to be aggressive, he made plays, and so I think Alex Grinch is going to be big.